Hi, I'm Juliet from Spoilt Beads, and today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful sparkly crystal waves bracelet, which was designed by Emma, who works here at Spoilt Beads. It uses Crystal Montees, 6mm pearls and size 11 seed beads. So to make these crystal wave bracelets here, you're going to need some Crystal Montees. You'll need 18 to 20 of these, and these are 4mm Montees. You'll need some 6mm pearls or 6mm fire polish work equally well. And then you'll need size 11 seed beads. And you can either use just one colour of size 11 seed beads like we've used in these bracelets here, or the bracelet at the end here, we've used two colours of size 11 seed beads. We've got a main colour, and then we've embellished the edges just where these pearls are here and the joins in the middle with a different colour of size 11 seed beads. You'll also need some size 10 beading needles and some Fireline thread, as well as some nice sharp thread cutters. So you can see I'm all ready to get started now, and I've also got a 2-strand magnetic clasp here on my bead mat, and this bead here is a bead that I'm going to be using as a stopper bead. It can just be any random bead from your stash that you doesn't need to match your design at all, because you're going to be discarding it later on. And I've threaded on my needle with around about 1 meter of Fireline thread, and I'm going to go through the stopper bead and take that stopper bead down towards the end of my thread, and I'm going to be leaving a tail of around about 5 to 6 inches. Go back through that stopper bead just to secure it in place. The tail of the thread that you're leaving doesn't need to be very long, because you're not going to need to add a needle onto it. You're actually just going to tie that in a knot and glue and trim it off later on. So I've got my stopper bead on now, and I'm ready to start threading my beads. So the first bead that you need to thread is a Montee. If I turn this bead over here, you can see how it's got 4 holes all the way around, and the way you're going to be using these holes is just going through from one side to the other. So you're not going to be trying to go diagonally or anything clever like that. You're just going to be going from one side to the other, but you are going to be using all 4 holes in this design. So to begin with, I'm just going to thread on a Montee, and it doesn't matter which holes you go through as long as you're just going through the holes which are opposite one another. Take that down towards my stopper bead, flip it over so you can see the sparkle. There we go. And now I'm going to add on 6 of my seed beads, my main colour seed bead here. I'm going to be using this nice coral colour, followed by 1 of your 6mm pearls, and then another 6 of your seed beads. There we are. Let that all drop down. There we go. Let you take a look at that for a moment. And then what you need to do is go back through the empty hole on your Montee. And everything loops around like that. I'm going to move my beads out of the way now so you can see more clearly what I'm doing. And it will loop around like so. Now what you need to do is pick up 6 more of your seed beads. Like that. And then you're going to add your clasp. So go through one of the loops on your clasp. It really doesn't matter at this stage which loop you choose, before picking up another 6 of your seed beads. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is go back through that very first hole. It's the hole that that is right next to where my stopper bead is. I'm going to go back through that hole there, like so, and pull everything around, and you will see, if I get everything out of the way, there we go. You will see now it all loops around like so. And now what I'm going to do is work my way through these seed beads here and then back through the pearl here, so that I'm exiting just where my needle is pointing to right now. Go working through those seed beads, and last seed bead before I go back through that pearl, like so. There we are, and I'll pull that all tight. You want to be trying to keep this nice and tight as you go, and you can see I am now exiting that pearl there. So what I'm ready to do now is to pick up another 6 of my seed beads, followed by another of my Montees, another 6 seed beads, and one more of my pearls. It will drop down so you can see that. What I'm going to do now is pick up again another 6 seed beads, take that down, and now what I'm ready to do is I'm ready to go back through that Montee. It's important at this stage that you go back through the Montee from the right side, because you're heading towards this side here, where this side of the pearl, first pearl here, where you're going to need to go back through it from that direction. So you want to be going, I'm going to take everything back around and through the empty hole of the Montee, so that I am exiting that Montee on this side, so that when I add 6 more seed beads in a moment, I can then go back through that first pearl there. There we go. So I'm now going to pick up 6 more of my size 11 seed beads. There we go. And go back through that pearl from the opposite direction, like so. And that's my next set added. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is take my needle and go all the way through these 6 seed beads here, this Montee, these 6 seed beads here, and back through the pearl. And then I'm just going to repeat this until my bracelet is the right length. And I'm going to do this another 8 times to make an average length bracelet. You can always add on an extra set if you'd like to make your bracelet a little longer. So I'm going to go back through all 6 of these seed beads here, through the Montee, and through the other 6 seed beads, and finally back through that pearl. Pull everything nice and tight. And there we go. So I'm going to repeat this now another 6 times, and I'll come back to you when I've done that. So you can see I've now got to the end of my bracelet here, and I've used a total of 8 pearls, because I'm going to be doing a bracelet that is 7 inches long. So to do a bracelet that's 7 inches long, you'll need to do 8 pearls. If you would like to make it another inch longer, then just add another pearl onto the set. So I've finished off here at this stage where I've got 6 of my size 11 seed beads, a Montee, and 6 more seed beads, and I've got the other side of my clasp, and I've lined the 2 sides of my clasp up so that I make sure that it fastens correctly. Right, I'm now going to go through the loop there on my clasp before picking up another 6 of my main colour of size 11 seed beads. There we go. And now I'm going to go back through that Monty, like that, and pick up 6 more of my size 11 seed beads. And I can now go back through that pearl there. There we go. And at this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work all the way back through all of the beads there in my clasp loop, just to add a bit of strength. And you can probably already see that my thread here is getting quite low, so I'm also going to finish off my thread, and I'm going to show you how to do that, and then how to attach some more thread there. So I'm going to go back through all of those beads there and the Monty, and back through the beads in that clasp loop. And this will just add some strength really to the piece. There we go. Oh, I've now got my thread hooked around my end of my clasp there. I just unhook it there and put it all tight. There we go. And I'm going to finish off my thread at this point here. So to finish off my thread, I'm going to take my needle underneath, just in between my beadwork there, and my clasp is magnetic, so it keeps wanting to stick to my needle. And I'm going to create a little loop there, and I'm going to pass my thread through that loop and pull it tight, and that's called a half hitch knot. And I'm going to tie a few of those, one on top of the other, just making sure I slide that knot into place there between my Monty and my last bead. There we go. Pull that nice and tight, and I'm now going to stitch through my Monty to the other side, and I'm going to tie another couple of half hitch knots there. I always like to tie quite a few, I like to feel that it's nice and secure when you're finishing off your thread. And then I'm going to be ready to add some more thread there. So tie one more, and then I'm going to be ready to add some more thread on. Pull that nice and tight. There we go. And I'm now going to trim off my little tail of thread that I've got left over. With my scissors. Okay, so I'm going to add some more thread on now. So I'm going to grab my Fireline thread here and reel myself off another metre or so, just whatever you're happiest working with really. I hate joining thread on, so I always like to work with the longest possible length, but there's no harm in joining thread on. So I'm cutting some thread here and thread on my needle. A little tip when you're threading the needle is to flatten the end of your Fireline thread with your nails, and that just flattens it down a little bit and makes it a little bit easier to thread your needle there. So I've threaded my needle on, and I'm now ready to join on my thread. You can just pick any point really to join on. I'm going to join on just between these beads here towards the end of my bracelet. So I've taken my thread down between 2 beads and pulling it through, so I've just got a little tail there, and what I'm going to do is just tie some surgeon's knots. So what I've done is I've made a loop, and I've passed the tail of my thread through that loop a couple of different times, and I'm going to pull that tight in between 2 of my beads there. There we are. And I'm just going to tie one more knot on top of that, like so. And then take my needle and stitch through some beads, and that will pull that knot tightly into a bead. I'm going to go through that bead, last bead there, and actually out through the Monty as well. I can't find the other hole now. I'll do that one bead at a time. So I'm going to go through the bead first. There we go. Pull that tight. And then I'm going to go through the Monty as well. Yeah, and also through the next few beads on the other side of that Monty. And I'm working my way through now until I am exiting that 6th seed bead that is just at the entrance to my pearl here, like that. I'll get my fingers out of the way so you'll be able to see what I've done here. There we go. So I've added my thread on and I'm now exiting the seed bead that's just above my pearl, and it doesn't matter whether you're doing it on this side or this side. It doesn't really matter which side you're working on, because you're actually going to be zigzagging down your bracelet now and embellishing the sides. But before I go any further, I'm just going to trim off the tail of thread that I have here from when I joined my thread on. There we go. So I'm now exiting this 6th bead here above a pearl, and what I'm going to do is pick up one of the other colours of size 11 seed beads that I'm going to use to embellish the edge of my lovely wave bracelet, and I'm now going to stitch down through the 6 seed beads on the other side of that there. You can see I've gone through the first 4 there. Yeah. You see how that seed bead there has just locked into place above the pearl, and I'm now going to stitch down through the last 2 seed beads and then through the next Monty in the pattern. Yeah. So I've now embellished above this pearl here. I'm going to stitch down here through these 6 seed beads on the edge here, and I'll be ready to embellish on this pearl here. So I'll now pick up a seed bead and then go through the next 6 of my main colour of seed bead in my pattern, and I'll lay that down and let you have a little look at that now. And you can see that what I'm doing is I'm working my way along my bracelet here in a zigzag motion. So I'm going this way, I'm now coming out of this seed bead here. I'm going to pop through this Monty, go through the next seed beads here and add an embellishment bead, and then go back down this way. So it's actually in a wave that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do that all the way down one side, and then I'm going to flip around and come back in the other direction, filling in the gaps as I come back in the other direction. So I've gone all the way down, zigzagging here, down embellishing, as you can see, in this wavy pattern down the bracelet, and I've come to the end here, and I'm just going to show you how to get rid of your stopper bead now before you start to come back in this direction and embellish where the little gaps are. So I'm now coming out of this seed bead here, and I'm going to work through all of the beads in the clasp loop there. So that I am exiting exactly where that stopper bead is. There we go. So my working thread now is exiting from the same hole that my stopper bead is coming out of. So what I'm going to do now is slide off that stopper bead because I don't need it anymore, and then use the tail that's left over to knot in some surgeon's knots around the working thread. So I've gone around and made a loop, gone through that loop once, and I'm going to go through it one more time there, and I'm going to pull that nice and tight, and then I'm going to tie another surgeon's knot on top of that as well. So I'm making a loop and going through it once, going through it twice, and I'm going to go through it 3 times now and pull that nice and tight. There we go. And that's how you finish off your tail thread there. So in a minute I'll be able to trim off this tail thread. But what I'm going to do now is just continue embellishing this side of the bracelet. So I'm going to go down through this Montee here. Got my thread caught on my clasp there. Just take that off there. There we go. And pull that through. I've got my thread caught all the way around my clasp. Need to loosen that off. Take it around. There we go. Pull that nice and tight. And I'm going to work through these seed beads here and start embellishing exactly the same way all the way along. And when I've done that, I'm going to finish off my thread just by knotting some half hitches around itself, and I'm going to repeat the whole process again to make another long length here, because you can see that this bracelet is a double thickness. And then I'm going to show you on the zipping up stage how to join the 2 sides of the bracelet together. Okay, so I've got to the end here of my 2nd row on my bracelet, and I've lined everything up, so make sure that it's all lined up properly and that everything, my Montees are all facing upwards and that the bracelet isn't twisted. I've got my last 6 seed beads on here, and I'm going to go through the empty loop on the clasp there. There we go. And now I am ready to pick up 6 more of my seed beads. There we go. Before going back through the Montee in the direction that's going to get me on this side here, so that I can go back through the top of this pearl here, down in that direction. So I'm going to go through my Montee like so. Make sure everything's the right way up. There we go. And now pick up my final 6 seed beads from my main colorway there. And go back through the pearl there. Pull everything tight. Here we are, and I'm now ready to begin embellishing this other row and joining these 2 rows up together. But before I do that, I'm just going to work back up through all of the beads here, through the Montee and through the beads in my clasp loop, so that I'm going to go out again through the Montee and I'm going to end up on the other side of this pearl, exactly opposite to where I am now. So doing this just adds some strength to your piece really, and also just gets you to the right spot that you need to be in to start embellishing this 2nd row and joining the 2 sides of the bracelet up together with one another. Oops, wobbled the camera there, sorry about that. Nearly there. that Montee. And through the 6 seed beads. There. I'll get everything out of the way in a moment. You'll be able to see where I am here. There we go. So you now see that I am exiting in the middle here between the 2 sides of my bracelet, directly above this pearl here. And what I'm going to do is pick up one of my embellishment beads. And then what we're going to do now is join the 2 sides of the bracelet together. So I've picked up an embellishment bead there, and then what I'm going to do is go back through the embellishment bead on the other half of my bracelet, back through in the direction of my clasp. So I'm just going to go through that embellishment bead there. And I'll just lay this down before I put it all tight so you can see what I've done. So I've added on my embellishment bead onto this side here and then gone back through the embellishment bead on the other side of the bracelet before I go back through the embellishment bead that I just added. And again, I'll just let you just take a look at that there. And as I pull this all tight, it's going to zip the 2 sides of the bracelet together like that. And what I can do now is work back down through the next 6 seed beads in the pattern. Pull that nice and tight so that it zips together nicely. And then I'm going to go back through the Montee. And the next 6 seed beads. Nearly there. Final seed bead there. And I'll just lay everything flat so you can see. So I've zipped these 2 together and I'm now popping out here, this side on this side of the pearl. I'm going to pick up one of my embellishment beads, drop it down, and then go through the next 6 seed beads in the pattern. There we go. And the next Montee. I'm popping out that Montee there, and I'm going to go through the next 6 seed beads. So I'm popping out on top of that next pearl there. And once again, I'm going to zip the 2 sides of the bracelet together by picking up one of my embellishment beads and going back through the seed bead above it on the other side of the bracelet. Just the seed bead that you want, the embellishment bead that you want to go back up through. Let you take a look at that there again there, and then back through the seed bead that I just added. There we are. And as I pull that tight, it zips the 2 sides of the bracelet together, and you see that this bracelet is now zipped together at this point and at this point, but not here, not in the middle here. And that's because when you embellish, you have to go in this wave. So when we come back in the other direction, we'll be coming back up here, and then we'll zip these 2 together. So you just need to follow all the way down, turn the corner just by going through the clasp loop at the other end before you finish off by zipping the other finish off by embellishing where you've got the missing spaces and zipping together every other of your pearls. there, and then you're all done. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. Please do let us know what you think in the comments below, and do post some pictures of your make on our Facebook page, because we would love to see all the different colorways and the different combinations that you can make using this pattern. And come back next time for more beading inspiration. We'll see you soon. Bye.